Warning: the following video clip contains offensive and vulgar language. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello everyone, I'm White Noise 411 and welcome to another edition of the Unfiltered Party. My co-founders are with me at this time.
Sire.
Neelix.
And today's topic we're going to be talking about is, of course, Cartoon Network. Now, the evolution of Cartoon Network has changed drastically over the years, as well as they have also created a subsidiary network station called Boomerang. Now, for those of you who don't know what Boomerang is basically a place where they tend to involve retro cartoons, but not so retro anymore. But that's aside the point, and I digress. Anyway, Cartoon Network has changed drastically over the years in terms of shows, in terms of animation styles, and
the audience they're going
towards
for.
Oh yeah. In general, yeah, they've catered to the audience in a very different manner. Some have been successful, others not so much. And so today we're just going to be mainly focusing on the premise of how much has changed and whether or not it's been changed for the good or for the bad. So, without further ado, Zire's going to give his opinion first. So, Zire, the floor is yours.
Whoa, wow, thank you very much. I mean, let's talk about the evolution. Cartoon Network, growing up, I mean, I wasn't there from the beginning, you know. I mean, I'm pretty sure Cartoon Network's been a long time ago. But all I can remember is some of the shows were technically, if those shows were in the modern days, probably mothers will be like, oh my god, this is causing my kid to, turn violent and be aggressive. Because you had good cartoons like the classic Tom and Jerry, where a cat chases a mouse and there's a lot of violence. We got random, what I call violent humor with pants and stuff, and you also got the classic Wild Coyote with the Roadrunner, where they show a little bit more violence. Also the whole Bugs Bunny with what's his name? Elmer? Well, I forgot his fucking name, the hunter, whatever. He had a gun. It's fucking crazy how much has evolved. I mean, back in the days it was mostly like violent humor, but it wasn't that bad. It was very entertaining compared to modern day shows. As it evolved, I seen shows like Adventure Time that became very popular, trending with the hipsters and what kids. I mean, it's not a bad show in my opinion. And then you got stuff like let's see what other show there is. The Amazing World Gumball. It's kind of funny, but it's stupid funny. It's not comedy funny. It's more like it's just funny because it's stupid. But it's not a bad show either. I mean, if you're bored, you get the munchies, you want to watch something. I think it's something that I recommend people to watch. And then you got other shows like Flapjack and Shouter, stuff like that have been popping out back in the days compared to the new shows that are coming out. Like, if I recall, I think this is called, what's that? Hey, White Noise, do you remember that show that is called with the island and shit? I forgot what it's called.
Island?
Total Drama Island. I think that was what it was
called. The series is just Total Drama at this point because it's had, I think, four different seasons or something like that or more.
There you go. Like shows like that start to pop out, like compared to like old shows, like I said.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, the Total Drama Island came out years ago. It wasn't really like recent that it came out. It's been a while already.
That was in the middle of it evolving into the whole modern era, especially like Camp Lazaro. Who remembers that? How about you, Wade?
I mean, shoot. There's a lot I can say about Cartoon Network's evolution. I mean, we're coming from shows that had a lot of sexual and as well as hidden humor that a lot of people didn't think was possible in certain shows. Like, for instance, take Johnny Bravo. That's one sexualized themed show, and it got away with so much content that it was just laughably funny. And then another prime example of that is Ed, Edd n Eddy. that that show broke a lot of fourth walls.
Oh,
No,
Like,
but you want to know something? If I were to remember correctly about this, most of the cartoons that we remember back then that involved such acts of violence, quote unquote violence,
of course, of course.
they were being influenced by reality TV shows like the Three Stooges and so on, because they actually
Oh,
showed
yeah.
like hitting each other and other stuff. People found it funny. It's like the cartoons went that way, but without actual people getting hurt. You know,
Hmm.
they just
I mean, let's be honest. If the back in the days, like style cartoons, the way they approach people, if they wanted to blame into the violence that is now, let's just say I give an example. If those shows like, Looney Tunes were now, I mean, they have new Looney Tunes, but it's whack. But back in the days, it was just funny because of the, the violent humor that didn't make sense. I mean, you're not going to hear someone go to a school and start hitting another kid with a
yeah,
pan. That's impossible.
but you have to remember something about Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes started as taking the old fairy tales and stuff like that, like the Three Little Pigs and Little Red Riding Hood and so on. That they just took those and they just did them their own way, because back then they would use music to give audio to the show instead of having some of the characters talk. It's one of those old silent characters but with music background.
I mean, the whole black and white. But we're talking about during the time as we grew, we still saw black and white cartoons. I remember.
No, but if we're talking about Looney Tunes, and that aspect, you gotta remember Looney Tunes has been around for such a long time. Like before Bugs Bunny was the official representative of the company, it used to be Porky Pig, because he appeared in the very, very earlier episodes of Looney Tunes before Bugs Bunny was even a thing.
Yeah, Porky's Hare Hunt. That was that was Bugs Bunny's sort of debuted.
Yeah, so you got like shows like Looney Tunes that debuted years ago, even before our time. You have shows like Mickey Mouse, the whole Steamboat Willie thing and all that stuff. Popeye,
I mean, it's crazy. Cartoon Network during the time was giving Disney a good, run for his money. I mean, it was a good, base.
But we
TV.
we need to remember that Cartoon Network wasn't really going against Disney. It was actually going mostly against Nickelodeon.
And it was the opposite of any other channel where the type of cartoons they were showing.
Because I remember this one thing where Nickelodeon had this this time slot for commercials, and apparently anyone can apply to put like their own commercials to be broadcasted at some point, and somehow people from Cartoon Network were able to get their commercial on there. And that was like a kick in the balls at Nickelodeon.
I mean, let's be honest. I feel like even though some of the modern shows in Cartoon Network right now has been kind of like okay-ish. I mean, there's some shows that are watchable, has good storyline compared to like Nickelodeon, especially with the whole live how can I put it, like live comedy skits that they have. It kind of changed. Same thing with Disney. They took a different turn. They tried to do remakes. They failed.
Well, Disney always had that cartoon thing with Mickey Mouse and all that stuff. And then for the live action, you had like The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. You had Hannah Montana. You had That's So Raven and so on. Meanwhile, Nickelodeon had Drake and Josh. They had iCarly, Victorious, Zoe 101, Big Time Rush. And Cartoon Network didn't really have much of any live action TV shows like that.
But they kept it cool. I mean, they fell a few.
No, but they mostly focused on like Courage the Cowardly Dog. They focused on Codenamed Kids Next Door. There was a time where they focused on Ben 10. The
Adventure of Billy and Mandy.
Yeah.
I remember when Ben 10 was actually Ben 10.
Compared to the modern.
The original.
I mean, I don't know if you remember, they also did like a live action movie too. For me, it was kind of a fail, but based on the budget and the cartoon.
They
Just
had
keep it as a cartoon.
they had two of them.
Mm-hmm.
They had two live action films from Ben 10.
But let's be honest. I feel like Cartoon Network is the only one that has been open because let's talk about the fact that the channel itself it allowed certain things that we can see. I'll give you an example. Nickelodeon was in a way kind of running 24/7, but it was repeating certain things.
No,
Disney-
hold on, wait. I didn't interrupt you there. Nickelodeon never ran 24/7. Nickelodeon had Nick at night, and then it had Nick Jr. in the mornings. You had to wait until like around 11ish, 12, in order to actually see like Danny Phantom, Fairly Odd Parents, and so on.
Oh, there you go. So it had those things. Disney Channel, I think it was 24/7, and honestly, Cartoon Network, big props, big balls. Hey, you're awake at midnight. Fuck, Cartoon Network introduced an after show called Toonami. It introduced me into anime.
No, but
Naruto, Inuyasha, but I give it credit.
but Toonami's curfew was I think after 10, I think. Either 10 or 11.
And there you go.
That's when it started, and then it would run for like 2 hours, I think, and then from there it'll go to Adult Swim.
I mean, before back in the day, yeah, it used to run from 7 to 10, and then after that it was Adult Swim. But before that, Toonami was running between almost 4 p.m. all the way to like 6 o'clock.
And there you go. I mean,
that was weekdays. That was weekdays, 5 days a week, plus a Saturday, and then Sunday was the only time it never aired. So the thing with Cartoon Network, and I gotta give it props this before, was that it wasn't afraid of its audience, and it catered to a variety of selections, and there was more differentiality, and in terms of animation wise, like everyone was putting their hands in there and trying to see what was the latest thing happening, because I'm gonna be honest, there was a lot of things that I saw on Cartoon Network before, you know, I generally like. I mean, besides Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry and all the other classic cartoons that you have already grown up with. But the thing is, there were certain cartoons at the time that were still experimental. One show that pretty much did this before like all these other shows came out was What a Cartoon. Now that was basically like a whole bunch of animators putting like random episodes of cartoons that would develop with time. I mean, that's the show that pretty much made the Powerpuff Girls possible, as well as Dexter's Laboratory, Cow and Chicken, and a whole bunch of other shows that you generally know now.
You know what I remember too? Mad TV, based off the old magazine.
Oh, and it's really, really good too. I mean, let's be honest. That one was giving good competition.
To me, Mad TV was made just like if it was the teenage version of Robot Chicken.
Oh yeah, that is very much true.
I mean, it's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of stupid, but it was good. I mean, for kids.
To be honest, my favorite part about Mad TV was Spy vs. Spy. I just found that really hilarious.
Oh yeah, the classic comics from the newspapers. Yep.
They made me a fan of that. I actually enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, like I said, Cartoon Network had inspired a lot of artists in the at around the time of its most popular period, especially the 90s. But then as soon as 2000 hit, that's when it started to lose its luster, and animations tended to be more of the same kind of art style, and I think that's what really threw it off, because as much as I like Adventure Time, as much as I like Steven Universe, as much as I like what's that show called? The Amazing World of Gumball, the animation just pretty much looks the same, and it's just overall stale.
You're talking about constant repetitive?
Constant repetitive, like that cheesy, goofy smile that you see in certain cartoons. It's like they're doing the same thing, and it's like it's a lazy kind of art style, and I like.
White noise. Can I make a comment on that real quick?
5 seconds go.
Ukulele era. That's what I call it.
What
The
fuck?
sing-along era.
Basically, yeah, they had a ukulele mouth.
Yeah, I know, like literally, it was a singing era, sing-along era. I
Like
mean,
every-
make something different.
I mean, no, I mean singing is one thing, but it's like that freaking that striped jelly bean smile. Like I've seen it in so many cartoons, and it's like it's not original no more. You know, it's kind of off-putting in a sense. It doesn't
Yeah,
make me feel engaged anymore. There's no originality in it. Granted, there's still story, but that's about it.
but you wanna know something? To me, what killed it for me was especially I enjoy Ed, Edd and Eddy. It was one of my favorite shows. Um, what really killed it for me is the fact that they could have done like another season when they were like in if I remember correctly, I think they were in middle school, and they could have done one when they went to high school.
Do you feel like they
But-
left it as a cliffhanger?
It's not really much
No,
of a
they-
cliffhanger. It's like they didn't made it reach its full potential, because I'll give them credit about kind of ending the series with the movie, with the last movie that they made, because that was actually a pretty good finale to the series. But I just wish they would have done more with it, because I found out years later that there was a group of fans who decided to take it into their own hands to create a sequel to it, which is called Ed, Edd and Eddy High School. But they made some testing animations and whatnot, but the only problem they've been having is the casting, where they're having some trouble finding some specific voice actors and people who have time to do it. But now I guess it's still a fantasy and miles away from me being close to being done, especially with what's going on now.
Let's have a moment
Mhm.
of one of the best, I think, Cartoon Network, one of the final greatest shows that they released that I feel like it was really good and well balanced. Billy and Mandy, the adventure the Grand Adventure of Billy and Mandy. It was pretty good, in my opinion.
I just liked it because of Fred Burger.
Yeah, well, granted, I kind of like the idea that they ended it, because a lot of shows, when they continue, they tend to lose a lot of luster, and it gets to a point where it gets too repetitive, and then the fan base ultimately dies. So I'd rather them ending on a good note than repetitive episodes where it's like, yeah, we kind of seen this in later episodes already.
If they get
And
to the point already.
yeah, and the one thing that I'm starting to dislike about Cartoon Network, and this is gonna bring me to my next the next issue that Cartoon Network now has nowadays, is not only thanks to the repetitive art style, but now they decide that they want to reboot certain cartoons, and I'm like, why would you reboot certain cartoons and then like make them way worse than how they triumphantly were? Because they did this to Thundercats, they did this to Teen Titans, now they're doing it to Ed, Edd and Eddy.
Wait, they're remastering?
Oh,
What?
you should have.
Yeah,
you
no,
tell
they're
him.
rebooting
You
it.
tell him. You're gonna break his heart.
What?
You're gonna break his heart.
Into the newest style that they're doing now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're rebooting it completely, and it's scheduled to air this August on,
Hold up, what?
on the 5th.
You're breaking
Okay.
his heart.
Okay.
You're breaking his
Okay,
heart. Don't
shut
look it up.
Shut up.
Don't look it
Shut
up.
up.
Don't look it up.
Shut up. Let me talk.
Don't look it up. Don't look
I
it up.
can't say that I hate it or anything like that until I see it. If I see the first episode that they completely changed it to what it originally was, and then they didn't make it any better, I will hate on that shit hard.
It's gonna break your heart.
You are gonna hate it, because the thing is, they already tried this with Powerpuff Girls and it failed. It failed miserably.
They try? Aren't they rebooting it for a second time?
No, not to my knowledge, at least.
Because
But what I do know is
because they already had a reboot. So unless they're doing
No,
it
what they're
again,
doing,
Yeah.
what they're doing is a live action with CW, I think.
that's
Yeah, the CW's doing a live action. I find that really dumb, but whatever.
that.
I mean,
I
That,
if
that's
they
a-
can make, I'll
that-
put it like this: if they can make it work like they did with Riverdale, and put an actual really
They
good
kill it with
story,
Teen
then
Titans, though.
maybe
They kill-
it could do it.
let me
They
tell you
kill it
something
with
right
Teen
now.
Titans.
Let me tell you something right now. This is becoming just like when they tried to make a live action anime, where it doesn't work out.
Oh no!
Not
Please
only
don't think
that,
no.
not only that, then you have Ben 10, Dragon Ball, that had a
Oh,
live
God.
action movie that was horrible, like
Avatar.
fucking
Stop it!
like
Stop
come
it!
on,
That's cancer.
no,
That's cancer.
no, you tell me this, you tell me this. Since when is Kakarot American? Since when he didn't have a tail?
Hey, you
Since
can't
when
say
he-
Kakarot. You have to say carrot.
Well,
Since when he was bullied.
like all the characters from Dragon Ball had nothing to do with the original characters. It's like they couldn't even be bothered to add like fucking Frieza and shit.
There was just nobody recognizable.
Like all they added,
There was nobody.
All they added was just was like the first Super Saiyan shit. And even then, no backstory, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you basically killed the whole series in one movie. You know?
They did. They practically did.
It's like the Fullmetal Alchemist movie, the Bleach movie, the Death Note movie. They were all live
Oh,
action.
yeah.
It was complete.
That was
garbage.
horrible. I was talking about
don't
Cartoon
know.
Network or shitty movies, man.
No, but I'm comparing it to what they try to do with the Powerpuff Girls to give an idea. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's
so
pretty
it's like,
fucking
so it's like
bad.
I'll give them props and they can actually do a good job of it compared to what other people have tried to do with something that should have stayed a cartoon. But to me, I just think it's just gonna end up the same way as the other shows that became live action. It's just gonna be terrible.
Mm-hmm. It will be. And it's just, like I said, it's very...
You know,
it's just very cringeworthy
you know,
and bittersweet, you know?
it's just one of those things where it should just stay a cartoon. Don't try to make a live action.
Yeah.
It's like saying I'm gonna take the concept of Codename Kids Next Door and make it live action. Essentially, people are gonna be like, "Hey, that looks like Spy Kids, but without the adults."
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there are some things you can't just make into live action. That could what
Yep.
happened with Sonic the Hedgehog. Also, the movie, the first design was terrible.
Yeah, the thing is they try to reboot and reintroduce other cartoons for a newer, wider audience, and it just doesn't work because the art style is what make, not only does the art style make it an unworthy successor, but because most of this generation's not gonna know the jokes and the humor that was already established with the original show. So it's like you can't really pull off certain jokes that you pulled off in Johnny Bravo or Powerpuff Girls or whatnot, and then put it into the new animated show that you're trying to reboot.
You know,
It just won't work.
It's like a comedian.
It wouldn't work.
It's like a comedian that when they have their stand-up act, they can't repeat the same jokes because the second time won't be funny.
Well, I mean, not only repeat the joke, but like in a manner of how they said it once, it just can't be replicated.
Yeah, but also the fact that people that would watch like the reboots and they put like all these references and stuff, some people won't get it because they haven't seen those other shows they're referencing to.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, what he said, I have no idea if that was supposed to be funny or not. Like, you would have, like, let's say a kid and his parents watch it, right? The parents laugh because they get the reference because they've seen it before, years ago. The kid doesn't get it, and he's just looking at TV like, what? I don't get it. What was the joke? I didn't laugh.
Yeah.
I don't get what's so funny. And then the parents have to explain to them what's the reference, and even then they'll be like, "I have no idea what you're talking about. I haven't seen that.
Let's be
Never
honest.
heard of
When we
it."
were younger, let's be honest. When we were younger, we were watching the shows. We didn't use some of the reference to, like, people started popping out. Oh, did you know this meant this when we were younger?
No,
We didn't even
but
know.
no, but here's the thing: you would have to watch like, for example, watching the Flintstones, the Jetsons, all these really old cartoons, and sometimes you would watch it, especially on the weekends, because they were very popular on the weekends to watch those old cartoons. And then when you start seeing the more during that time the modern ones, that's when you saw the references. You'd be like, "Oh, this came from Johnny Bravo. Oh, this came from the Jetsons. Oh, this came from the Flintstones." That type of stuff. Like Family Guy. Family Guy sometimes makes references to these old TV shows. Like they make references
Mhm.
to Popeyes. They make references to what was it? Fucking shit.
A whole bunch of shows, actually,
Yeah,
and the list goes on.
they even made references to like fucking Disney too.
Yeah.
But besides
But
that,
yeah,
but going back to Cartoon Network, I just feel like that now they can't make those references anymore with making a new series, even if it's not even like a reboot type of thing.
And
Because
and not to mention the fan base it now caters to,
like,
because the fan base itself is just so it's so how do I put this? Like,
sing-alongs.
certain jokes that you could say from an anime back then, you can't do it now because it's just too sensitive of a topic. And I feel like because Cartoon Network is now catering to a much more demanding audience, that it doesn't live up to its potential the way it should.
like the way I see it, Cartoon Network back then was a little bit more on the risky,
More lenient.
more on the risky side. Like they were taking those chances and making those type of quote unquote dirty jokes and whatnot.
I mean,
But
if they make
now
those type of jokes,
but now it's like they can't make those references because then the parents are like, "What the hell is this? I don't want my kid watching this and all this stuff." It's basically
And then another thing that I hate that they've done over for the most part is, and this has been a very recurring thing, is that now they're teaching a younger array of audience about LGBTQ and all that, and I'm like, kids are too young for that. If you want to watch something like that, go watch reality TV. Don't
I
put that
mean,
in cartoons.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest with you. I don't agree with that, but that's everybody's opinion. I mean, it's okay, but don't oversaturate it. You know what I mean?
But my thing is, Cartoon Network is supposed to be for children and family audience, but at the same time, you're catering to a younger audience, and I feel like for stuff like that, you shouldn't even have that on the network to begin with, because it's too young for a child of, like, say 6-7 years old to be deciding something like that. That's more along the lines of, like, when a child matures, and then shows can teach more about that, and that's fine. Not that I'm saying that there should never be any show or any form of network that should support that kind of pride, and because that's everywhere. But my thing is, when you're a network that's catering to a younger audience at this time now, you can't be doing that. You can't do that, because that ultimately is like a form, in a lot of sense, that's like a form of brainwashing. And I feel like a child's too young to be understanding all that. Like, they have their whole lives ahead of them to actually go out there and actually try to make the decision themselves. And that's how it should be done.
Like the way I see things with Cartoon Network is when I saw that they did the whole boomerang thing where they separated like all the cartoons and stuff. I just saw it as a way of them trying to copy Nickelodeon, where Nickelodeon now has I think that the Nicktoons Network, where they had like Rocket Power, Kappa Mikey, Danny Phantom, all these more action packed and more, I guess, teenage humor, like the kind of swearing and whatnot. And then Nickelodeon stuck to like the Fairly Odd Parents, SpongeBob, these other more kid-friendly things. And then they had, Nick Jr., or what is called now Noggin, you know, typical stuff for 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and so on. There's a Cartoon Network try to go that route where they're like, okay, you know what, we're gonna take a more risky shows and put them in this channel, Boomerang, and the rest of our shows that are dedicated to the younger audience is gonna be on the main channel. That's how I kind of saw it. Like, maybe I'm seeing it wrong, or maybe just the fact that, because I'm seeing all these more dark humor kind of thing in another channel than Cartoon Network and so on. But that's just my perspective on things when it comes to that. Because I was just waiting for Cartoon Network to have, like, I don't know, Cartoon Junior or some shit like that. Something for
Cartoon
babies.
Junior.
That is just no.
Or are they gonna call it like fucking Network Junior or some shit like that? Some weird shit.
No, I kind of like that other idea, Cartoon Junior.
Cartoon
My
Network.
kid is gonna watch.
Cartoon Network. If you steal my idea, I will sue. I'm going to patent that name right now. I'm trying.
Alright, looks like he's gonna laminate it, but
Copyrighted.
overall, yeah, overall, I still, like I said, that's just my opinion on the matter of, like, they should, like, not just limit, but more like be mindful of what they're trying to promote as an overall message in cartoons, because it's like there are still certain topics that a child shouldn't even be, discussing about.
Oh,
Like,
that reminds me. Didn't Sesame Street try to do that? Like, they tried to get Bert and Ernie
Oh
married
my
and
god.
shit.
yeah, that's the thing. Like, children are too young to be understanding stuff like that. That's a type of thing that should only be delved upon as soon as, like, you become, like, in your teenage years, because at that point, that's when that's when the human conscious starts to become more in tune and aware of everything around them. This is the time where curiosity now becomes a very heavy thing.
Yeah.
And they ultimately have the choice to decide for themselves.
Yeah, they should look like Adventure Time. Adventure Time, they had all this humor and stuff in it, and then when it ended and it moved to HBO Max, that's when they came out that these two females were having a relationship and whatnot.
But it also, like I said, shows like that are exactly and to that extent, shows like that are the reason why a lot of kids are growing up thinking, like, they're growing up too damn quickly. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, there are certain elements of the show that I love. I'll support, but it's like, this is still too young of a period to be talking about this. And I feel like a lot of cartoons now, especially in Cartoon Network, are just deep delving and deep throating this ideology, like you have to learn this. You have to learn this. I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah,
it's a choice.
I just remember.
I
just remember something really hilarious. The ending to the last Chowder movie. You're supposed to. He had like so many.
Keep in mind
kids.
Keep in mind, like, as I said, I'm not saying you should never, be that way or whatever, because it's the whole world. You have a choice. But my thing is, you shouldn't bombard the ideology to the point where it's being shoved down your throat.
So in other words, what you're saying...
9 times out of 10, yeah. Like, 9 times out of 10, like, if a person was to tell you, hey, get this, get this, get this, get this, you're pretty much going to be like, no, I don't want to get this because you ruined it for me. So and that's basically what this is.
So basically what you're saying is that they're shoving their perspective down our throats.
Exactly. Instead of it being a natural cartoon the way it was supposed to be intended for. Like, it's for everybody to enjoy, not like to promote some kind of message over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like,
so would you say so would you say this is like propaganda in a way?
Yeah, and sexuality should never be a commodity. It should never be advertised as something like you have to try it, you have to promote it, you have to do this. Like, no, sexuality is something you have to experience on your own. You have to you have to also experience that for yourself. And no matter what, you should never let anyone else decide what you want to be. That's overall. You should never let anyone else tell you what you should be, because only you have the ability to decide for yourself.
Let's leave that topic for another type of discussion, because honestly, I don't believe that it's not a bad thing. It's really not a bad thing. It's like
no. Like I said, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, and I'm like, there are certain networks that do this, and don't get me wrong, but those networks cater to that for that reason, and that's okay. But Cartoon Network is a show that's catering to a younger audience. So it's like, you shouldn't even be doing that. At least not right now. You know what I mean? If it was like on Adult Swim, okay, I understand that, because that's Adult Swim. But it's like, in every single cartoon? That's too much. That's too much.
You know why they're doing it? They're not doing it to promote anything. They're doing it because of the views, because of the, the things. Like, they want people to, hey, this channel did this, come check it out. And then there's other shows that they probably will end up liking, and they do it for the views.
And it shouldn't be that way.
It's all about
like that's the thing. Sexuality should never be used as a form of profit. I guess that's my biggest gripe with it. Like, they use the term like for sexualities and to promote them as a means of earning, like pretty much profiting. And it's like, you can't profit off that, man. You can't. That's wrong. You know how many people struggle day in and day out for their lives to, just to pretty much tell the world, like, this is how I am and this is how I'm okay. And, whether you're okay with it or not, that's not my issue. I'm just telling you what I am and what my beliefs are on that. But when cartoons start doing that, especially at a younger audience that has that is currently in infancy in their mindset and has no idea what the world is going through, so they have their own personal world like that, it shouldn't be enforced to that degree. It shouldn't.
No, it's completely understandable what you're saying, but at the same time, we coulda. They just doing it for money. I'm pretty sure
That's what I'm saying.
For money. Let me tell you something. It probably could have sounded stupid and fucked up what I'm gonna say, but if bestiality was a thing, I'm pretty sure channel will start making shows just like that.
Oh, hell no.
I'm just saying, just for the money.
Hell no. No, that's never gonna be a thing. That hell no. Hell no. Hell no. That is outlawed.
But you get it, right? You get what I mean.
But that's outlawed. But that's what I'm saying. That's outlawed.
You get the point.
But this is like I said, this is a very intricate kind of topic, because like I said, it shouldn't, like, I feel like this is the sort of thing that should be like, delved upon by the individual themselves, because they have the right to be, whatever they want to be. But let them have the mindset to decide what they want, instead of having a TV show constantly tell them what is okay and what is not. Like, no, they have to decide, and they have to learn from it. That's how it is nowadays. You got to learn from everything. You can't, because if you don't experience anything, then you can't really say, oh, I did this, I did that. Like, no, you didn't. You just followed whatever was told to you, and that's not the kind of life you want to live. But I digress.
But in the end, let's go back to the topic. I mean, Cartoon Network.
Like I said, that's what I said. I digress. But anyway, so as I was saying before about the animation in terms of originality, I just feel like it's pretty much gotten stale, and I have yet to see a show where it's either not a reboot or something of the same lines in terms of art style. And it's just kind of stale. I mean, granted, there are a few shows here and there. Like I said, Adventure Time was one. Steven Universe was another one. and another show that was pretty good at breaking the fourth wall was The Amazing World of Gumball.
It was a good
And
funny show. I mean, it's not bad.
yeah, and for what it was, like I said, for what it was a good show. I'm not mad at that entirely, but it's like more originality should be introduced because Cartoon Network was known for being risk takers, especially because they used to be owned by an American businesswoman by the name of Betty Cohen, who was the original president of Cartoon Network and who was also founded by Ted Turner from 1992 to 2001. And while she was running as the president of Cartoon Network, she made Cartoon Network so out there. Like, it was almost impossible for anyone to not know what Cartoon Network was. What channel was it on? Everybody was always like, flick on channel 32. You gotta watch that. You gotta watch that Dragon Ball Z that's over there. You gotta watch that Yu Yu Hakusho. You gotta watch that Courage the Cowardly Dog. You gotta watch that Dexter's Laboratory. Oh yeah,
you gotta watch that Satch Bell.
You gotta watch that Looney Tunes. You gotta take it off with Tom and Jerry, Tex Avery, all these other cartoons that was being promoted out there. She made possible. Possible.
Let's be honest.
When it was all said and done, she was perhaps the best thing to ever happen to them.
Let's be honest. Let's give Cartoon Network a big hand of applause for keeping diversity intact. I mean, this person allowed everything. I mean,
that's the thing.
Even animation like Boondocks, used to. But
that was more adult.
Let's give it another
Cartoon Network.
Well, let's give it a hand. Well, she allowed it. She gave it an A-OK. Yeah. Let's be honest here. Like, fuck. Those were great shows. I mean, everybody wanted to, like, watch them. Diversity on its best. I mean, Cartoon Network, like Jesus said, broke the fourth wall, the third wall, the first wall, any wall. I mean, even to this day, they have shows that are okay. But maybe as we grow older, let's be honest, as we grow older, it doesn't mean we could have watched cartoons all the time. But what I'm saying is that...
Nah, that's not true.
Maybe because, they're aiming for the modern, for the main people that around that age, what you're seeing.
And that's fine and all. Like I said, that's fine. I'm not saying that they shouldn't keep up with the times, and that's in itself. But my thing is, that when you have two networks from the same company, and one is supposed to be doing the functions of one's supposed to be doing its functions and the other one's supposed to do its other functions, but they're not doing what they're supposed to do, like Boomerang. The whole point of Boomerang was to show retro cartoons because a lot of people don't like what's on the regular Cartoon Network nowadays. But my thing is, there's hardly any throwbacks over there. It's just washed out cartoons that nobody wanted. So it kind of is, it's like, how is that throwback? Like, nobody cares for Mike, Luke, and Og. I know I didn't. Like, who the hell wants to watch that? Like, Pokemon? Like, are you seriously? How is that throwback? Like, if I want to watch Pokemon, I could just watch it off the 4Kids Network. But I digress. I digress. So anyway, I'm going to give the floor to Neil because he's been silent for a bit.
Oh, not the fact that I was silent, is that I thought I talked too much already. Yeah.
I mean, here he gave a good opinion too. I mean, he was talking too.
What we can all agree on by the end of the day is that Cartoon Network has gone in a direction they shouldn't have gone. They should have just stayed the way they were. And the other thing they should have changed is their ways of making cartoons. Instead of using the same formula over and over again, they should have changed it up a bit instead of just sticking to what they knew. But just besides that, they should have stayed the same way with their mentality of, oh, we should take this risk of going of taking this show to this direction with its humor and whatnot. Like, well,
Yeah.
and the other thing is that they should have continued some of the shows that they had before. Like I mentioned before, the whole Ed and Eddie thing. They should have made another season when they were in high school. Then you had.
They should have continued Kids Next Door too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like when they ended with number
Like
one.
that was such a big ass cliffhanger. The Galactic Kids Next Door. Like we never got to see it.
I was honestly hoping for them to make the next season where he came back. You know.
Oh.
Yeah, and they even did a fan video of that one too.
Yeah. It's one of those things that these shows haven't reached the full potential, but just the fact that the creators just gave up on it immediately afterwards. They were like, you know what, we'll just leave it at this and move on with something else. But they should have still continued it. You know, it kind of reminds me of the situation with Jimmy Neutron on Nickelodeon, where it had the potential to keep going, and the team that worked on the show, they actually pitched another season for it because they were inspired by a fan fiction that they read. But Nickelodeon turned them down, and they couldn't do it because it wasn't green light.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, going back to Cartoon Network, it's kind of the same thing that's happening, where these shows that have potentials to still keep going, they just stopped with it and decided to go with creating something new.
And it's just sad.
Yeah, it actually really is. I kind of miss the old days. With all the cancel culture and fucking delicate snowflakes nowadays. Back then was the best.
Bring back Johnny Bravo.
Not really much of a political stance, but more of a entertainment stance, where you didn't have to worry about someone being like, "Oh, that's racist. Oh, that offends women," and so on.
Mm-hmm. And so overall, I propose that we give Cartoon Network a rating system as of right now, from rankings from A being excellent, perfect, B being mediocre, C being needs work, D really needs to pick up the slack. So without further ado, Zaire, what grade do you give Cartoon Network right now?
C.
Why?
They need to work on their bands. I think they can do better. Maybe I'm just a high hopes guy, but I feel like they're gonna be able to come off from it. I think they're doing a good job with certain concepts. They got the idea, but other than that, they're still keeping to themselves. Though they're still keeping them, not like every other channel. They're still themselves, in my opinion.
Okay. What about you, Neil? What grade do you give Cartoon Network?
Can I make up a new letter of how bad it is?
Oh boy, what do we have here?
I'm gonna give it with my new made up letter, ZW.
VW. Wombo.
As a letter, not a word.
Wombo.
Okay, what?
It's basically below a D, a negative D. I'll give it
a negative D. So you're pretty much giving an F.
Even below enough. Even below a Z. That's why I said I wanted to make up a new
super
letter.
F. A decimal.
That ain't even super.
He gave it a super duper F.
I'll give
it a coma.
I'll give
it a coma.
I'll give it an apocalyptic Z.
World War Z.
Because I'm gonna be honest, all the new shows that they came out and stuff like that, it just doesn't work for me anymore. Like, I completely stopped watching anything related to Cartoon Network. I just watch the old stuff. Hell, I enjoyed regular show, and it was not even that old, but the show was pretty good. I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But now they just have all this weird shit and a bunch of reboots. It's like they don't even know what to do anymore.
All right, so White Noise, your rating, sir.
Overall, bottom line, I'm gonna have to give it a C. Needs work.
Hey.
If it could fix this, like I said, if it could fix its issue with originality in terms of animation, and as well as stop trying to overcompensate lessons and sexuality orientations, then yeah, I think it would be better.
There's still hope.
You guys are giving it too much hope.
No. I'm not giving it hope. I'm just saying, in order for it to succeed,
stop thinking about the old.
It should do that.
It's over. All right, it's over. Accept
Sir.
it. It's not gonna change. It's gonna keep going with what they're doing now, which is complete and utter shit. Just accept it.
You see, this is the problem.
It is cartoon.
You feel like you're.
It is cartoon shit work. Is what's going on at this point. That's what they should be called.
Cartoon shit work.
You guys are being you guys are being too nice. We're giving it a C.
I'm not being nice. That's my honest
Stop
opinion.
living in a fantasy world, alright?
No, I mean, granted, as much as I gave it a C, the reason I still give it the benefit of the doubt still is because good shows have still come out of it, despite the staleness, despite the somewhat unriskable jokes that they can't get away with before. Like I said, like you said, actually, Regular Show was one of those shows that came out, even though it had a stale animation sequence, but it still overall was a good show.
Let me tell you something right now. The way cartoon shit work is going at it now, I'd rather watch Noggin in the mornings.
I mean, if you want to watch Noggin, go ahead. But
if you want to look at ABCs,
I'd rather see Moose and Moose.
Like I said, if you want to do that, go ahead. But that's not gonna be me.
Well, Neo has a weird fetish.
I guess so, but
you guys are just worshiping cartoon shit work. It's not the same as it was before when it was known as Cartoon Network.
Yeah, that's true. Like I said, nothing could ever be the same. Again, and that's fine and all, but it's like when you try to cater for a newer audience, but you want it to have success, you have to understand that there are certain things you can do, and then just certain things you should never do. You know?
I wonder if they ever try to reboot Caillou on Cartoon Network.
Oh God, I think that'd be the death of me.
He beat cancer.
That would be the death of everybody, if that was to ever occur. But anyway, that's all the time we have today, ladies and gentlemen. And this has been another episode of the Unfiltered Party.
Hold up. Before we end this, you kind of forgot something. You said ladies and gentlemen. Remember, there's a third gender.
How silly of me. How rude. I forgot as such. So let me address that little elephant in the room now. Ladies, gentlemen, transsexuals, and
attack helicopters.
All of the above. All the above. This is dedicated to all of you, whatever you decide to label yourself as. So, without further ado, we are ending today's episode, unfortunately. Be sure to give us a like. Be sure to support us on our YouTube contents, as well as our Facebook page and our Twitter. If you want us to discuss a topic in the near future, please be sure to leave a comment down below, and we will attempt to incorporate it into our future episodes and give you full credit for the topic. And you'll get a big shout out at the end of the video. Until then, I'm White Noise 411, along with the co-founders at this time,
Sire,
Neelix.
And we'll see you in another installment of the Unfiltered Party. Take care.
Boo, 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 boo.